Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we extract vital insights from complex subjects. Today, we're exploring a really compelling set of documents, delving into a world shaped by ancient magic, epic conflicts, and some deeply personal stakes. Our mission here is to navigate these, intricate narratives connecting those ancient world-changing events to the immediate challenges facing our main characters.
Precisely. And this deep dive into our source material, it reveals this rich tapestry woven from prophecy, power struggles, and, well, the very nature of good and evil. We'll unpack how these grand, almost cosmic prophecies start to intensely shape individual lives and how, seemingly small choices can just ripple across entire continents.
So let's jump right into this incredible story for you, starting right at the very foundations of this world. Okay, so our forces begin by setting a truly epic stage. They describe a cataclysmic process that utterly reshaped the world over decades. Can you maybe paint a picture of the immediate aftermath? What did that actually look like?
Yeah, absolutely. This upheaval, it just dramatically reconfigured the whole geopolitical landscape. The Elorns, they're this ancient people from the West, right? They and their allies were forced to retreat into the unexplored reaches of the Western continent.
Wow, forced out.
Completely. While the Angarax, followers of the dark god Torak, they fled eastward into the wilderness of Mallorea. It fundamentally split their world, creating this lasting division, this schism.
And within the Angarak lands themselves, the sources mention a profound shift in power after this cataclysm. Is that right?
They do, yeah. And this is where you start seeing the deeper implications, I think. Their god, Torak, he was maimed and disfigured by the stone, this incredibly powerful artifact that, well, just rebelled against God.
Rebelled against the god.
Exactly, unprecedented. And this event, it didn't just injure a deity, it severely demoralized the Grellan priests, Torak's, fanatical clergy, which created a vacuum. Yeah. And into that vacuum steps the military, seizing de facto rule of all Angarak.
Okay, so the power structure flips.
Right. And the surviving priests, as they recovered, they strategically set up an opposing center of power at Malyaska. So you basically get this dual competing authority that's going to have huge long-term consequences for the empire later on.
Fascinating. Then the sources detail this long and really brutal conquest. Tell us about the Karans and how Torak's power played a unique role there.
Okay, the Karans. They initially resisted with some pretty formidable magical might, conjuring hordes of demons.
No.
Scary stuff. But Torak's intervention here is key. It wasn't just like a powerful spell he cast. He somehow mysteriously made their magician's control spells no longer effective.
Changed the rules of magic for them.
Fundamentally altered the very fabric of magic, yeah. For them, anyway. Any Karandese magician trying to reach into those dark realms now risked life and soul. So this profound, permanent disruption allowed the Angarax to conquer Karanda over several centuries, reducing its people to inferiors. It's a really chilling example of divine power being used to just strategically disarm an entire culture.
Wow. Okay, so after Torak's withdrawal and the destruction of Clethal Mishrak, the sources say the Mallorean Empire evolves in this unique, almost paradoxical way.
It's really fascinating, isn't it? How Torak's neglect actually let the military consolidate virtually total control of Mallorea. But amidst all that, this uneasy peace develops with the Melcenes, who are a rival Eastern people. And they foster this truly unique practice, sending their leaders' children to be raised by the other side.
Yeah, really? They swap kids?
Basically, yeah. The idea was it led to a fuller understanding, and these cosmopolitan youth became the norm for the Mallorean ruling class. I mean, think about it. It's not just diplomacy. It's like strategic cultural osmosis. It suggests that maybe true understanding across these ancient divides, it might only be forged by blurring those lines of identity right from childhood, cultivating shared perspectives at the very top.
That's quite a system. But despite that, the sources still mention major conflicts, like the northern force being completely routed at Vomimbre, and it sounds like Torak himself fell again.
Yes, he did. Torak was struck down by the power of Krethraska, which is also called the Orb of Aldur, and he falls into this coma lasting centuries.
Yeah.
And this didn't just destabilize Mallorea, it exposed this profound, almost theological reliance on a single divine figure.
So the whole empire depended on him being present.
It seems so. It's very Identity and cohesion were so tied to its deity that his physical incapacitation led to this systemic unraveling. Mallorean society started to fracture back into its original components until this guy, Korzith, emerged as emperor. It really highlights the unique dangers of a faith-based autocracy when its spiritual core gets compromised.
Absolutely. Okay, so with that huge historical backdrop set, the sources fast forward to the immediate present of our main characters. We pick up with Garion, our central figure, and he's feeling pretty gloomy on a ship. He even has this rather audacious idea about changing course.
He certainly does. He actually suggests to Belgarath, we could change course and be halfway to Mallorea before Zakath realized that we weren't coming to Rakhaga after all. It really shows his pragmatic side, doesn't it? Almost impulsive, his way of problem solving when he doesn't like the situation.
But there's a higher purpose here, isn't there? Tied to prophecy. It's not just about Garion's mood.
And this brings us to a critical dilemma. Cyrodius, the seeress of Kel, she believes that meeting Emperor Zakath is a condition, something that has to be met before she can make this crucial choice for the future. But Belgarath warns, he says, you've got to keep in mind the fact that Cyrodius is drawing on the prophecies of both sides, and if the prophecies are equal, they have equal truth.
Equal truth. So prophecy isn't straightforward.
Apparently not. It underscores the incredible complexity of their destiny. Suggests that even prophecy itself can be ambiguous, maybe even contradictory, and requires really careful navigation.
Okay, so their first official encounter when they reach Mallorea is with General Ateska. What does his presence tell us about the internal dynamics of Zakath's empire?
Well, first off, Ateska is a Malsean, not an Angarak, which right away points to Zakath's peculiar ideas about the aristocracy of talent. He seems to favor competence over traditional lineage.
Interesting. Meritocracy, maybe?
Could be. Ateska is polite, but the source says he's very firm about his intention to bring them to Zakath. So you get this immediate glimpse into the subtle internal politics, but also the Emperor's unyielding will.
And then the narrative takes this really surprising, quite scary turn. Suddenly, Sinedra, Garion's wife, she experiences this terrifying, violent transformation. She's frantically searching for her baby, Jaren.
Yeah, this is a pivotal moment. It reveals a deeper, much more personal threat. Polgara, she realizes immediately what's really happening. She uses her power, demands to know who's controlling Sinedra, and this entity, screaming in agony, finally reveals herself. I am Zandramas.
Zandramas. So the enemy reveals herself directly.
Directly and brutally. Zandramas confesses she has already stolen her heart, Polgara, her child. Now I will steal her mind as well, her goal. To distract them from finding the Sardian, which is this key magical artifact. Polgara, using the power of the name, banishes her, and then reveals Zandramas is at Ashaba, haunting the bat-infested ruins of the House of Torak.
Wow, so that's a huge aha moment. They know who the enemy is and where she is.
Exactly. It's a shocking direct confrontation that clarifies the enemy and her immediate, chilling objective.
So they finally get to meet Emperor Zakath. Beyond the descriptions, what are their initial impressions? What's the vibe?
Well, the sources say he has a voice as dead as his eyes, which suggests this deep weariness, maybe disillusionment. He seems indifferent to ceremony at first, but there's a subtle probing about him, too, indicating a sharp mind under that detached exterior.
And there's that detail about the cat, right?
Yeah, the very ordinary pregnant cat. It adds this surprising, almost grounding touch of domesticity to this powerful emperor. Hints at maybe a hidden vulnerability or just some normalcy beneath it all. We also learn Toth, one of their companions, is a mute Delasian, a quiet but clearly significant presence in the group.
And then a critical revelation comes up when they discuss King Urgit. He was known for being timid before, wasn't he?
A notorious coward. Yeah, that's how Zakath describes him. But now, Zakath notes, Urgit is behaving like a king. And Garion just says, very simply, Urgit and I talked a few times, and I told him what he was doing wrong.
Just like that?
Just like that. It powerfully demonstrates Garion's profound, almost casual impact on others. Zakath even acknowledges it wryly, you may not have made a lion of him, Belgarion, but at least he's no longer a rabbit.
It shows Garion's unique ability to inspire change, even in powerful figures, just through simple, direct advice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But just as this uneasy alliance seems to be forming, the sources reveal a shocking development. Zakath is poisoned. How does this critical moment unfold? What does it tell us about his own court? Yeah, it's a huge, dramatic turn. He's poisoned with something called thalot, described as universally lethal. Things look really bad. But Belgarath, with his unique connection to nature, his primal magic, he cures him by instantly growing this specific flowering plant all around his bed.
Instantly grows a plant.
Right there. And what's even more striking is the source implies that Garion somehow made this flower and Belgarath created it. It showcases their extraordinary, almost divine power to manipulate the fundamental elements of existence.
That's incredible. And Cyrodiil shows up during this.
She does. She appears and emphasizes Zakath's vital role in the coming conflict, urging him to return to Malzeth, the capital. And curiously, Zakath himself experiences this profound emotional shift after being cured. He feels better right now than I felt in over 25 years. He even kind of chides Garion, saying, my life hasn't really been so enjoyable that I'd consider going out of my way to prolong it.
So the poisoning, or maybe the cure, breaks something open for him emotionally.
It seems like it. Suggests he was battling some deep internal malaise even before the physical poisoning.
And what about the orb, Kragyaska? It also plays a key part in Zakath's transformation right after this, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Garion, guided by this internal compelling voice, uses the orb to show Zakath the truths that he needs to know. The orb pulses with blue light, and Zakath recoiled, his face blanching. He's overwhelmed with grief, saying, I cannot thank you for this truth. Take that accursed stone from my sight.
So the orb forces him to see something.
Something profound, unavoidable, and clearly painful. It highlights the orb's immense power, not just as a weapon, but as a revealer of truth. It forces Zakath to confront something deeply unsettling, maybe about his past, maybe his reality, and it leads to this emotional breakthrough, even if it's agonizing.
Okay, so after all that drama, they move to Malzeth, the imperial capital. What kind of city is it? How does the environment set the stage for what comes next?
Malzeth is depicted as just bustling, almost overwhelming. A city where everything's for sale, teeming with people from all over, even the West. Its architecture reflects this really rigid social hierarchy. Houses are rigidly equal based on rank. And the palace itself, it's a nexus of intense palace intrigue.
Intrigue, like backstabbing in politics.
Exactly. Bureaucrats and palace functionaries contested with each other for the emperor's favor. It's this grand but incredibly cutthroat environment, perfectly suited, actually, for the kind of clandestine work that follows.
And this is where silk, velvet, and sari really get to shine, right?
Yeah.
Navigating this complex web of power.
They absolutely do. They just skillfully manipulate the whole system. They establish an efficient espionage apparatus. Silk focuses on commercial matters, subtly influencing trade, gathering info that way. Velvet dabbled in politics, weaving herself into the social fabric to gather intelligence and sway opinion.
And Sadi, he has his own methods.
Oh, yeah. Sadi delicately dipped his long-fingered hands into the world of high-level crime. He even uses his knowledge of poisons, causing high-ranking criminals to quite suddenly died under suspicious circumstances.
Yikes. Ruthless.
Calculated, ruthless, and highly effective. It's how they gain influence and control, even if it alarms Zakath himself. Their methods really exemplify how power can be wielded through subtle and sometimes brutal manipulation of existing structures.
But amidst all this intrigue, the city gets hit by a devastating plague. How does this new crisis complicate things for them?
Oh, massively. It's a dire situation. Starts with a sailor named Balska. He contracts the illness, and it just spreads like wildfire. And it spreads relentlessly because of the city's curious intermingling of classes, as the source puts it. Containment is impossible.
So the social structure makes it worse.
Exactly. Houses are boarded up. Grim carts rumbled through the streets carrying the dead. It paints this truly apocalyptic picture. Zakath is clearly exhausted, though he tries to downplay it. And Belgarath, having lived through several pestilences before, he notes some run their course in months, while others persist until everybody in the region is dead, so their urgency is just ratcheted way up.
Okay, so plague is raging, time's running out, they need to leave Malzeth. But Zakath is hesitant to let them go. How do they manage to actually escape the imperial palace?
This is where their combined ingenuity really comes into play. It's quite the plan. Velvet suggests engineering additional confusion by exploiting existing feuds between minor kings and princes who are visiting the palace.
Stirring up trouble.
Basically, yeah. Then Sadi, surprisingly, provides workmen, who are actually his bandit crew, to instigate open fighting right in the palace halls. Pure chaos.
While it's happening.
While that's happening, Polgara uses magic to make the palace guards comatose. renders them totally helpless. And finally, Belgarath reveals the secret cellar passage that neither Zakath nor Brador, his main advisor, knew about, leads them right out of the city. It's a remarkable, multi-layered escape, blending cunning, brute force, and ancient magic.
Incredible. So they ride away, leaving Malzeth lying burning in the distance. What's the landscape like now? Their pursuit must be urgent.
The journey is just fraught with escalating danger now. It reveals the true chaos spreading across the land. They encounter a Melsene bureaucrat fleeing a city called Akkad, which has just fallen to this character Menga and his demons.
Demons, so it's getting worse.
Much worse. They learn about a new god of Angarak and an open war within the Golem Church itself back in Venna. The whole region is just consumed by both plague and demonic incursions. It highlights the rapid deterioration of order and the rise of these sinister new powers.
Amidst all this chaos, their group starts revealing some surprising talents beyond just magic, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's one of the interesting side notes. Durnik, the blacksmith, turns out to be this masterful lute player, even shaming a professional juggler. Toth, the mute giant, produces this aching poignancy on his pipes, really stirring deep emotions. And Feldegast, who we find out later is Belden in disguise, he dazzles everyone with his juggling and these clever observations, provides both distraction and insight.
And Vela, too.
Yeah, Vela, who's Yarbluck's companion, she even performs this challenging Nadrak dance. It just highlights the unexpected depths of these characters and how these unconventional skills prove vital on their perilous journey.
Okay, so what's the strategic situation around Malyaska, the ecclesiastical capital, as they get closer? Things sound pretty bad there.
Yeah, Feldegast reports back. The Chendim, who are Urvon's fanatical priests, they're in total control of Malyaska, and they're heavily backed by Torax hounds, these fearsome elite warriors. There are also strong hints of an alliance forming between Urvon and Menga, the guy with the demons, which would be disastrous for Zakath's empire.
So it's not just one threat, it's potentially a coordinated pincer movement.
Exactly. It indicates a much larger, coordinated threat emerging. Paints a really grim picture of the combined forces they're up against.
Their main target now is Ashaba, the house of Torak, where they believe Zandramas is hiding. What do they find there? And what's the psychological impact, especially on Garion?
The house itself is ancient, twisted, bat-infested, a fittingly creepy lair for Zandramas. Belgarath uses the orb's pull to confirm she has been there with Garion, the stolen child. They find this taunting note from her, revealing the place which is no more as the location for the final meeting. Chilling. But what's most devastating, especially for Garion, is his overpowering rage when he realizes something crucial.
What does he realize?
He realizes Zandramas hadn't just shown him projections of Garion before. She had actively manipulated his mind with the haunting nightmare of a wailing child. He understands the full depth of her cruel deception now, and the emotional toll is just immense. It's a deep psychological blow.
Wow, so then a massive confrontation erupts in the throne room at Ashaba. How does this climactic battle play out?
Well,
and there's a shocking revelation, right?
Huge confrontation. Urvon, clearly quite mad now, is sitting on the throne with a shadowy figure who turns out to be Nahaz, the demon lord, whispering to him. Zandramas appears, radiating this unearthly beauty and unearthly cruelty, taunting Garion again, showing another projected Garion. Garion, just fueled by pure rage, sheared his way through their ranks, a truly destructive display of his power. And then, in this stunning diversion, Feldegast performs a virtuoso juggling act, culminating in balls of pure fire completely distracting the Grolems, and this is the moment.
The big reveal.
The truth of Feldegast is finally
Yes,
revealed.
the mystery is solved. So who is he really, and what does this tell us about Zandramas' influence?
It's Belden, Belgarath's hunchback brother, known for his eccentric genius and power. He reveals his elaborate disguise was mainly to avoid being recognized in Mallorea, where he's not exactly popular. And Belden is furious about Garion being tricked by Zandramas. We also learn, crucially, that Zandramas had attempted to put her hand on your mind with Sinedra much earlier during her strange illness on the road from Rakverkat.
Ah, so that wasn't just an illness.
No. This realization shows Zandramas' insidious influence runs much deeper and has been at play for way longer than they initially knew.
Okay, so with these personal betrayals, these big revelations, what does this all mean for the larger cosmic conflict, the whole child of light versus child of dark thing.
Well, Cyrodiil appears again, right in the thick of it, and confirms. Garion is the child of light, and Zandramas is the child of dark. No ambiguity there. She also clarifies the nature of the divided stone they're all after. There's Crexardius, which Zandramas seeks, and Krakyaska, the orb of Uldur, which Garion has. And the stakes are incredibly high. Cyrodiil states flatly, one of us is going to die.
One of the champions has to die.
Seems like it. And the deadline for this final meeting is grimly set as only for so long as a babe lieth beneath his mother's heart. Polgara clarifies that means 9 months, ticking clock. Plus, we learn Nahaz, the demon lord advising Urvon, actually wants the Sardian for himself. He's planning to take it from Urvon and rule the world with his associate Herakan, so there's treachery layered on treachery.
Just keeps getting more complicated. And the journey itself continues to throw these surprising, often dark challenges at them as they press on from Aishaba.
Absolutely. Right after leaving, Belden creates this massive illusory demon just to clear their path. It showcases truly terrifying power, a testament to his unique brand of sorcery. Then they stumble upon this horrific Karandese ritual. There's a woman on an altar, grossly, impossibly distended. It's deeply disturbing. Polgara has to intervene and tragically delivers a stillborn demon-human hybrid, ending its life immediately. It's just a stark, visceral reminder of the horrors being unleashed and the perverse extremes dark magic is twisting the natural order into.
Unbelievably dark. And the pursuit of Zandramas herself, it remains relentless. What do they learn about her tactics now?
Yeah, the chase is still on. They learned Zandramas is maybe 3 or 4 days ago ahead of them. And she's been cunningly subverting Menga's people, the demon worshippers, by recruiting Grollems into her own growing group. She's even orchestrating the murder of older priests who refuse to follow her. It shows her ruthless efficiency and how she's consolidating power as she moves. It's not just a physical chase, it's a strategic game of cat and mouse, and Zandramas is constantly adapting.
Okay, so as they press on, Cyrodiil, the seeress, she reappears again, offering guidance but also sounds like a warning.
Yes, another appearance. And she warns them, the child of dark seeks to circumvent the ordered course of events and hath laid a trap for ye. She reveals Zandramas's thought to slay one of the companions of the child of light. Why? Because that would prevent the completion of one of the tasks essential to fulfilling the prophecy.
Trying to sabotage the prophecy itself.
Exactly. So Cyrodiil emphasizes the urgency, pointing them directly towards the next critical task they absolutely must fulfill.
And during this encounter, we witness even more astonishing displays of ancient power and some really unexpected alliances, or maybe interventions.
We really do. First, Polgara observes, we're being watched, sensing Zandramas' anger even through her magical shielding. Zandramas is close, paying attention. Then Belgarath does something truly mind-bending. He transforms into a huge, silvery fish leaping dramatically from a lake, just showing the breadth of his power. But what's even more surprising, truly jaw-dropping, is the sudden appearance of Polgara Polgara's twin sister, who they thought was long dead.
Polgara, she's back.
She emerges specifically to confront Zandramas. She warns her directly against a premature meeting, saying, should we meet at the wrong time and in the wrong place, we will both be destroyed.
Right.
It reveals this deeper layer of cosmic checks and balances, maybe, and the immense interconnected power of these ancient beings. It's not just flashy spells anymore. It's about fundamental forces shaping destinies.
What an absolutely incredible deep dive. We've gone through so much ancient prophecies colliding with these desperate immediate choices and the very fabric of reality seeming to bend around these powerful individuals.
We really have. We've traversed centuries of upheaval, haven't we? Witnessed the fragility of empires tied to a single divine figure, explored the complex politics of that cosmopolitan empire, and then followed this desperate, magic-infused chase across continents. The sources, they vividly portray how personal grief and, frankly, a lust for power can be catalysts for world-altering events, and how those bonds between individuals, even siblings like Polgara and Polgara, can stretch across millennia, influencing the highest cosmic stakes.
It definitely leaves us with a provocative thought, doesn't it? In a world where prophecies seem to dictate so much, where does free will, where does individual choice truly fit in? Are our own destinies, maybe, just reactions to external forces and ancient predictions? Or can a single determined individual genuinely alter the course of events, much like, Garion's impactful rage back in the House of Torak seemed to do? Well, something for you to ponder until our next deep dive.